Hey, we're live. This is Toby, and I'm going to do some more work on the Deep Zoom Post-Mortem Debugger, which I've been working on. I am currently creating a short 5-minute demo video um, to sort of show this off to more people. Try to get people's feedback, people that are sort of in the field of perhaps computer programming research, computer education, computer science education, field of computer science education, and also in the field of perhaps compilers and programming languages and programming runtimes and stuff like that. So I'm putting together a short video for that, and I am excited about that. I think it's gonna turn out pretty good. In this session, what I would like to do is to add the visual display of array values, as well as maybe if we have time, the display of dictionaries as well. So let me put my sorry for being unprepared again, but let me put my drawing tablet on so that I can show you what my plan is. Okay, so what I don't know exactly this is how it's going to turn out yet, but so a lot of this is we figure stuff out as we go. Why is this huge cursor here on the screen? What is going on? Why I do not understand this cursor. Why is it here? It like what? I don't know. I don't know what this is. Does it come with a certain program? Is it Screen Brush? No, it's not Screen Brush. It's kind of bothering me. Maybe it's OBS, but I don't want to stop OBS because that will kill the stream, which is already going. And it's kind of a pain to get it back up. I guess I'll just live with this big ugly arrow on the screen here. Alright. That's kind of disconcerting, actually. But anyway, so what I'm thinking is, there's gonna be lines of code, like there's line numbers on the left hand side, and then there's gonna be lines of code in the middle. So yeah, that's not a very straight line. So there's gonna be lines of code in the middle, and currently we depict the value, like if there's a assignment here, then it'll say, oh, A just got assigned to the value 1, and so forth. Currently this only works for numbers, so this is a number, and strings. And even strings, there's a thing I need to fix. For strings, I'm gonna need to add double quotes to it to depict it as, which currently is not done. So, but anyway, currently this works for numbers and strings, but not with arrays and dictionaries, I would imagine. And so the plan is to add support for them. The question is, how am I going to depict arrays and dictionaries? It's actually could potentially get very hairy because arrays and dictionaries can be arbitrarily large. And when things get arbitrarily large, it's hard to fit on the screen. Now, advantage that I do have versus other systems is that this is a deep zoom system, which kind of means I have a cheat that I can use to compress space. So I'm thinking, but I don't think I'm gonna try to attempt to solve that problem this time. So I think what I'll do this time is simply to get the basic rendering in place. And I'm thinking, so yeah, I'm deferring that very hairy problem. But for the basic rendering, what I'm thinking is an array is going to look like this. So you have an array that has numbers in it. Yeah, that's an array. Makes sense. Python tutor has this index indicator, which I kind of like, and I might bring that in. So in Python tutor, inside each cell of the array, there's a accompanying index number showing you the index number of that cell. And I kind of like that. You know, it worked for them, so why can't it work for us as well? So I might go ahead and put these little index numbers here. As for dictionaries, I'm thinking a dictionary looks like a table. This is what I have done for my text-based debugger, basically, the same thing. I'm thinking a dictionary is a two-column table with the keys on the left and the values on the right. So maybe if you're doing a word summary program and you got to be or not to be or not to be, I think to be, to has one occurrence in that sentence. B has two occurrences, and to be or not to be. Or has one, you know, there's some more entries down here. So that's a dictionary. That's how I want to depict a dictionary. What if we have nesting? Well, what if we have an array with some dictionaries in it? Well, Python tutor does it like this. You got an array with some dictionaries in it. So this is a dictionary. This is a dictionary. This is a dictionary. Okay. No need to be so detailed, Toby. Just these are dictionaries with some values in them. Let's say we have 3 dictionaries, and we got an array, which is orange. This is kind of bothering me still. Why is there this cursor here? So there's a array. Python tutor does look like this. They do it with pointers. So I have an array of pointers, and this pointer points to this dictionary, and this pointer points to this dictionary, and this pointer points to this dictionary. While I could do this, I have an alternate idea that I think would be maybe an improvement over this, but I think would probably also fit better with the deep zoom debugger visual paradigm, which is that we are just going to embed the dictionaries inside the array. So instead of doing it and also having to sort of depict the concept of pointers, I guess I'm saying try an approach that doesn't even depict pointers in the approach. And my approach is I'm just gonna wrap the array, the box for the array, around the dictionaries. So yeah, like that. So the dictionaries are contained within the array, which is, you know, is a valid way to think about this. I mean, there's no one correct way to think about it. I think this is a valid way to think about it, and it's a very helpful way to think about it for people that are, you know, learning to code. I think this would be a helpful way to think about it. And now if there's too much detail within the dictionaries, or if the dictionaries has more detail within them, well, deep zoom. deep zoom can solve that. We don't have to show all of the detail. If you zoom in more, then it will show you more of the details. So that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know whether that would practically work well or not. I guess time will tell. Like some things you just have to do it and then find out what the answer is. You can't predict everything that's gonna happen. So that's the nature of R&D. Okay, so that's the idea. Let's try to do it. Let's try to. How are we gonna do that? How about first we have a program that actually uses arrays? That seems like a good start. So I'm gonna go over to the play programming language. Let me check my stream just in case it's not recording. Seems to be recording. Cool. Last time I tried to record, but it failed to record, so that's why I'm double checking. So deep zoom, I'm gonna go to the PlayLang project, and I'm gonna either make a new program or just find a program that has an array in it. Multiplication table? No. This, well, reverse a string? No. Tally does have arrays in it. Let me try. So this is the text-based debugger, and it depicts arrays like this. Oh, this is a dictionary actually, and this is an array of characters here on the left. So yeah, so this guy here is a dictionary, and then I'm flipping the colors on you, aren't I? And this guy here is an array. I think I'm just going to use this program then. Yeah, let's do it. So I'm gonna grab this tally program and move it over to deep zoom debugger. Project. Okay, and now I'm going to try to bring it up in the debugger and see what it looks like at current state. Okay. Let me make another browser. Not this one. What did I not? Oh yeah. I thought this was turned on. Oh, is it on a different port number or something? Let me try again. Okay. Localhost 8080. Why is this not working? Oh, because it didn't compile yet. Wow, it takes that long to compile. Okay, anyway. Well, this cursor is still bothering me. Okay, this is very interesting. Wow. All right. So, wow. Okay, so we basically didn't get any depiction whatsoever of the. Well, actually, this tally equals this empty dictionary line. We're showing tally equals 1. Okay, so that's actually kind of a we have a problem here. We have a problem that I actually didn't think about before I started this. I mean, I should have known it, but I forgot. Um, so objects on the heap in the Play programming language, and the objects on the heap, there are only two types. There's arrays and dictionaries. That's it. So those are called objects on the heap. There are no proper objects in the language, like as in OOP objects. Those don't exist. So when I say objects in the heap, it's either an array or a dictionary. In this language, objects on the heap are stored in like in a dictionary, and when you set up variables that contain arrays and dictionaries, in reality the variables values are actually numbers. The numbers are actually the values. Actually, I can show this to you using the text-based debugger. Okay, you see how tally, here we said, oh, I'm gonna set the value of tally to an empty dictionary. But over here it says, I set tally to the value of 1. How does that work? Well, array object values, so arrays or dictionaries, object values are actually indirect references. And the references are done using numbers, using integers. So what I say is when tally is actually a dictionary, it's actually there's an extra step required to access the dictionary. The tally variable contains the number 1, which the number 1 is the ID of this dictionary. So each object in the heap has an ID, which this variable on the stack points to. So, so I guess what I'm saying in the JavaScript runtime while it's executing, the variables that are supposedly objects on the heap, they actually contain numeric values, which contain the IDs that identify the object that they are actually referring to. And so we actually need to look up this reference over here in order to access the actual object that we're dealing with. However, there's no good way currently to distinguish the fact that this variable is a number versus the fact that this variable is an ID that references an object in the heap. I just didn't bother. I mean, at one point I thought that I would need that, but I didn't bother to do that because I just put that onus on the developer in a sense. And I did that, and that is to say, you know, when the developer is writing this line, which I can show you the JavaScript that it generates, maybe. Wow, it's not here. Oh, it's in the other project. I don't see the JavaScript file. That's okay. So the setting of this key in the dictionary is actually done through a function and probably called set or something. That function is responsible for sort of taking the number that is in here, looking up the object to be modified, and then modifying it. So the onus is put on the developer in a sense, as in, yeah, if the developer wanted to write tally equals, if the developer wanted to write instead of tally equals empty dictionary, they wanted to write tally equals 4, and then they go ahead and do this and this, then what they would end up doing is interpreting this 4 as an ID in the heap. And it will actually look up for the object in the heap with the ID of 4 and try to either access that key or try to change the value in that key. And whether or not that works will depend on whether there is something on the heap with that ID. So I don't, in other words, there's no safety kind of preventing people from interpreting numbers as dictionaries and vice versa. And also, there's no way currently in the runtime. Well, this is not runtime, this is post-mortem, but there's also no way in the from what the data we have in the history file to distinguish between a value that is a number versus a value that is an array or a dictionary. That's kind of a bummer, and we're gonna need to solve that problem first before we can even display anything. One idea that I have regarding this is to like put a wrapper object around the number. I was thinking there would be like a reference class or reference wrapper, but now I just realized that won't work in terms of serialization to JSON format. And yeah, and it's possible because I already have my own sort of JSON-based language, my own extension to JSON. It's possible, I suppose, to extend it, the language, to support it, but I don't really feel like doing that. I don't like the idea of having like let me show you what I mean. Like have a class called ref, and then you take the ID like that, and then have that have an object of that class be referencing the ID. Well, and then I will test whether this is something of a ref class or not. And then I have to do type checking to branch. I kind of don't like this concept. What is another way of doing it? I suppose another way of doing it is just to define a format. Like maybe this is an object. Because we're not allowed to put objects in here otherwise. So maybe if it's an object, that's the sign that tells you, hey, that's a reference. Because you're not really supposed to put that in here in the first place. But I guess the thing that I don't like about that is it's another level of indirection. And now I not only have to get the, but I guess I'm not at the stage where I should worry about performance at this point. So I could do this. Another idea other than that one is I could implement type checking. This was sort of my original intention, was that like, well, if we define the types of the variables and we have type checking, then the type information is inside the program itself, and we can actually go through the AST. Like if we said like, hey, this is a string, like TypeScript, you know, or I guess in C syntax it would look more like this. Maybe we go for this. Char is string, maybe for string char, or in here. And the type of the variable can be inferred from the AST structure, and based on that, the debugger can go through the AST and figure out the type of that variable, and therefore interpret the value as either a number or a dictionary. So that's another route. Thus far, I haven't really talked about type checking in any of my videos, but it is definitely an important topic in programming language design. So I should talk about that at some point, I think. So I feel like this is the preferred route that I would want to go eventually. Versus the one with a wrapper object, which I do not prefer. And so if I did that one, then later on I would have to revert it eventually once we implemented this approach. Perhaps we just implement this approach, honestly, because maybe this is not as hard as it seems. But well, implementing all of the type checking in all of the places that should be type checked, I think will take more work. But simply implementing the syntax of marking the type of the variable and then allowing that to be available in the debugger, that's actually not difficult. So interesting. Okay, I think I might do that. This is somewhat like the tag idea I had in the X language, where I just tagged. Okay, I'm gonna do that. I guess now, so this just completely changed course. This session. Now I need to implement some syntax in the parser of the Play programming language. And I could use this syntax, the C syntax, or I could use the TypeScript syntax, which is that syntax. Which one should I use? I'm a little bit torn because I use TypeScript more on a daily basis. But then again, TypeScript is the odd one out here. TypeScript is the one that's kind of not following the convention that's long been adopted by C, C#, Java, etc. So I guess if I did it this way, say, more programmers maybe would be familiar with this syntax. I guess it doesn't really matter. This is just a toy throwaway language anyway. So I think I'm gonna do this. And also I could either make the tagging of variable types mandatory or not. And then should I make it optional or mandatory? I'm gonna make it optional, I think. We'll see. And maybe we can have type inference later to figure that stuff out. But that kind of stuff I feel like is a little bit harder, and I don't want to try it right now. I mean, I have done it before, but and I know it's doable, but I just don't feel like attempting it right this moment. Maybe we shorten the names. I know some people really hate shortening the names. In Python, they shorten the names. Stir versus dict. If we don't shorten the names, it'll be dictionary. I guess I could say map. Map would be shorter. But I kind of like the word dictionary. Calling them dictionaries. I kind of like it a little better. So, okay. I think I'm gonna call them string and dict. And maybe num and array. Yeah, let's do that. So I'm gonna say, let's go to the grammar file. Where is the grammar file? I can't find it. I guess I'll go to the something.ne. Okay, it's PlayLang. Oh, it's in the source directory. That's why I couldn't find it. Okay. So let's go to the variable assignment. Okay. There's variable assignment. Now I might need to introduce the concept of variable declaration, actually. And that's more gnarly. Yeah, that's more gnarly. But I think I have to do it. I don't see a way around it. And we also are gonna need a checker that says, well, you can't define this guy, like the declaration of the variable is gonna have to come first before before secondary assignments to it, like that. I can't redeclare that variable. That's a problem. That's an error. You're not allowed to do that. We'll need a checker to do that. And yeah, and that's harder. So I'm gonna say there's a variable declaration. I guess another approach is we declare them separately. Like separate the initialization of the variable from the assignment of it, and you like C, you declare all of them at the top. But I feel like, wow, that's tedious, and that's like feels like we're in ancient times if we were to do that. So I'm not gonna make developers have to do that, or myself. So I'm gonna call this guy a variable. So variable declaration is a variable assignment in disguise, kind of. And in addition to the identifier, there's a type tag. in front of the identifier, and then there's some mandatory white space here. So we have to have some white space in between here. Excuse me. And everything, all the index numbers just shifted over. Excuse me. Yeah. So let me think. So let's say this is a type declaration, and the type tag, I'm gonna put it in here. These indexes all got shifted over. That's actually kind of annoying. So this 0, it used to be identifier, and now it's index 2. So I'm gonna change all the index 0s to index 2s. This 4, it used to be expression, but now it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 now. Index 6. Okay, so we'll say this is what a variable declaration is, and then the type tag. What is a type tag? Well, a type tag is, I'm gonna make it very, very literal and limited. I'm gonna say it can either be a string, or it can be a number, or it can be an array, or it can be a dictionary, a dict. People might get angry if I don't spell it all out, because that would be the exception to the rule. I don't know, having to spell dictionary all out seems like a little tedious though. I'm gonna call it dict. It's my programming language, so I get to do what I want. So so the type tag is one of these 4 strings, and it'll get passed in. No, this is actually 0. Index 0 is that one is the type tag, and variable name is the identifier, index 2, and so this is a variable declaration. I'm gonna say that I need to enter it into this executable statement definition so that it can be used. Probably put it above var assignment. Okay, so now we have variable declarations, and if we the generator will also need to know about variable declarations, but from the generator's perspective, actually, let me see. I think you can treat it exactly as a variable assignment. So maybe what I do is just add another clause to like catch variable declarations inside here as well. Yeah. We actually don't have a checker here currently in this language, so there's no stage from which to say like, well, this syntax is wrong, like you're trying to assign to a variable that hasn't been declared, and I'm actually thinking of skipping that for now. I should do that later, but I kind of want to get to the interesting part, which is really the deep zoom debugger. So I'm kind of saying I'm gonna cheat here and not do what I'm ought to do, and I just want to implement this syntax, which allows a tag to be added to to this variable, and then the Post-Mortem Debugger will just utilize that tag to be able to discriminate between a number that is a number versus a number that is referencing a dictionary in the heap. So I'm kind of gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat just to get my demo ready for my very important clients. Yeah, so let me try this. So I'm gonna regenerate the parser. And now I'm going to run the tally program again. That did not work because the traverser doesn't know about the var declaration. So I'll fix the traverser as well. I'm just going to have it be treated exactly like a variable assignment. And do that again. Okay. Text on line 4. Column 22 is an undefined reference. This is in the closure.js. Huh. It's been a while since I looked at this code. Let's look at it. So, text on line 4. Let me think. It's talking about text. Oh, here. Doesn't recognize this as a valid reference. That might be because the closure code is looking specifically for variable assignments. Yes. But it actually needs to expand that to include variable declarations now, which we can do that. Okay, let's try that. Okay. A non-AST node type for executable statements, the generator. Now we're generating the code. Declaration. Wait a minute. Where is this line? 125. It's here. It didn't hit. Maybe I just misspelled variable declaration. That's possible. Let me open up the var declaration. Var declaration. I'm gonna Google this spelling. I want to make sure it's right. Declaration. Okay, it seems right. Great. So var declaration. Did I spell it wrong? Oh, this should be or, not an and. What was I thinking? Okay, it ran the code. I don't know why it printed out 1. That seems strange. Yeah, because tally is a 1. That's hilarious. Okay, so now it's got a tag. I think we can use that. Okay, let's go for it. Let me think. I actually am going to need to update. Okay, so the debugger is using the PlayLang package from npm, but I just updated the PlayLang. I don't want to republish to have to do this, so I'm going to use npm link. I think it works like this. I want to npm link myself, as in I want to publish myself locally with this machine. I hope that worked. I can tell, I think, after it's done. Yeah, what it's done, it has linked the PlayLang module within this global node modules folder to this folder, project folder. So then if another project links it using npm link with the name of that module, then they're locally linked. And I think that just, yeah, so great. So I don't have to like npm publish and update npm and that stuff. Okay, so I think now I can have the AST parser give me the tag information. But I have to write some code to do it. So let's do that. I'm gonna first print out the AST, which will allow me to verify that the type tag is in there. Let's try it. That's the AST. Let's open it up and see. There are function definition in there. I have a body, and let's look into two variable assignments. No, I think that should be a. Oh, I haven't copied the new version of the source code over. And while we're at it, we'll copy the new version of the history file as well, just in case that changed. It probably would not have changed, but you never know. It might have changed. Okay, I think it reloaded, maybe. Let me just make sure it's reloaded. I'm going to dock this. I usually prefer it docked. Okay, let me open up this AST object now and look into the statement. Now I have variable declarations now. Awesome. Which in turn has a type tag. Oh shoot. It's been recognized not as what should we call it? Not as the type tag, but it's been recognized identifier. Aha, okay. I have to say I did not anticipate that, but it's also kind of okay. Yeah, it's also kind of okay, I think. Yeah, let's go for it, because later on you might want to have user-defined types. So you might want that to be an identifier. So, okay, so these are identifiers now, these type tags. And for now, we only have built-in types, but they get recognized as identifiers anyway. But what that allows us to do now is I can, within the function scope, I can look for variable declarations. I use code that look for variable assignments. And now I probably want to do that for variable declarations as well. So maybe just I will, well, I'm gonna actually do this later, but actually for a given variable assignment, well, or variable declaration, no, I need to do this now. So I'm gonna make another copy of this exact same code, but rename this to variable okay, and also from the variable declaration I can actually tell what type the thing has. So and actually I would need to do that for assignment nodes as well. So maybe what I want is a function that tells me the type of a particular variable, so which I can get from this function node. So maybe what I really want is a function get type tag of a variable based on the function node and a variable name. I would like to get a get nodes of type online. I would like to find an AST node. Okay, find nodes of type. I'll make a new function. I'll just say find node online, but instead of basing it on the type, I'm gonna base it on a callback. I'll call this callback match. So if I call your callback match, give you this node, and you say true, I'm gonna give it to you. Okay. So given that, so I just made a helper function to give more flexibility of finding nodes. So I'll say find node online, and I want to say, well, not, I don't want to change this one actually. I want to say make this one is gonna be based on find node. Oh, not online actually. In the whole function. Okay, we don't want the line number, so I have a find node within this node which matches whatever that match predicate is. Okay, so I'm gonna say I want to find node within this function node where the node type so if the node type is variable declaration and the var name, I think it's var underscore name, is this var name, then that's the one we want. I want to double check, is it spelled that way? Or is this like var name? Is there declaration? What's going on? Oh, this is a history file. I want the AST file. Okay, it's var underscore name like that. Okay. All right. So if we are able, I'm wondering whether find node is gonna return me one thing or multiple things. It's gonna return me multiple things. I guess I could, I'm gonna call it find nodes, and then I'll just grab the first one after it finds them for me. There shouldn't be multiple though. There really shouldn't. Okay, so I'll do that. It's gonna return an array, but I'm only gonna get the 0th one. So after this, for the case of variable assignment, I'm going to say, hey, but for the declaration node, it already is going to have the type tag actually, and that's the one we have. But for the variable assignment one, it won't. I guess for the one that we are working on, we didn't need that function in reality. Let's restart this app. Oh, we have a breakpoint turned on. I'm gonna turn it off. Whoa, mama, that's a lot of code, very dense. Usually, this one is a variable declaration, and we're displaying this using we're displaying this orange label here using this code, but we want to show a dictionary sort of depiction instead of one, right? So here, so if we took away this line, then it wouldn't show this orange part anymore. Let me make sure that's true, because you never know, you might be drunk. Yeah, so that was true. I took away that line, and then we no longer get the orange label. Let's now put it back, but now we're gonna have it depict a different thing. Actually, let's do it for the strings. String, we're gonna quote it. So the variable value, so I'm gonna say if the variable value, if type of that is a string, let's make a thing called it variable value display, which I'll default it to variable value, var value, but if it's a string, I'm putting quotes around it. Like that. Yeah, I may need to, in the variable value display here. Yep. So there's that. And then, let's just test that first. Yep, so this string has a double quote around it. Great. Now, for this dictionary, now we can kind of switch and say, oh well, else if the declaration node that type tag that value, which is gonna be this guy, right? It is type tag that value. In this case, it's gonna say dict, right? So if it's a dictionary, is the variable, it happens to be a dictionary. We're gonna say, I actually changed the display to be something else. And for now, let's just use JSON format to depict it, even though that's not what I ultimately want to go for. But you know, but we need to grab the dictionary out of the heap first, and that is in the next stack frame. We can look at the history file. So the heap is here. See, this is the heap. instead of going to stackFrame.stack, you go to stackFrame.heap, and then that is a dictionary where it's got dictionaries and arrays in it, keyed by the ID. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go next stackFrame.heap, and then we're gonna use the value as the index into the heap. And then after we get the thing, we should get a dictionary out of it. That should be a dictionary. And like I said, for now I'm just gonna do JSON stringify this boy. Yeah, and it doesn't know about heap, but I think that's just a type I made up. No, it knows about heap. What was the problem? Why is it complaining about it? Heap doesn't exist on stackFrame. Oh. Oh, heap is on... Oh, that's a stackFrame. That's the problem. I shouldn't be doing it on the stackFrame. Okay, got it. I should be doing it on the entry, not the stackFrame. Thanks, TypeScript. That was actually helpful. Okay. Let's see that. Yeah, so now we have, it's saying that tally got an empty object, which is obvious because I mean, the code already told you that. I guess, yeah, but that does get us somewhere. And we could, by the same token, you know what? Let's make it a little easier then for ourselves here. I'm gonna make a new program. Let's call it example arrays dicts. I'm gonna make an array that has some numbers in it, and then I'm gonna make a dictionary that is a dictionary. Like so. I'm gonna tag it as such. Okay, dict. That sounds a little weird, but I think that's fine. Let's execute this. Oh, I guess I also want... no, this is fine. Let's go with this. So I'm gonna execute this program. What do I call it? Example arrays dicts. Okay. So now I'm going to copy the source code and the history file over, and we try to render that program instead. Example, I'll just call it arrays dicts, so it's shorter. But over here I called it example arrays dicts. So I'm gonna call this arrays dicts dot history. Paste it in here. All right, let's see it. Oh no, not yet. I need to change the debugger to reference those files. Okay, so it definitely worked for the dictionary, because we didn't write a conditional for the array. So let's go ahead and do that. Where is it? There it is. Okay, so I'll say else if declaration node type is an array, then we want to do the same exact thing. And now that should display as an array, I believe. Yep, it did. Wonderful. Okay, now what? So that works for variable declarations, but not for variable assignments. So for variable assignments, like we might have a line, for example, that says, I'm gonna reassign the array to a different value, like that. And then we might have the same for dict. And go for that. So then that's not gonna work. So let's do that and try to make it work. Come on, TypeScript, compile for me. Oh, I might need to refresh the browser manually because I did. Yeah. So these guys still don't know that about what type the variable is because on that line it didn't have the information. But what we can do though is to walk the AST to find the corresponding definition node and get the type information from the definition node. So that is actually doable. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me think. I think we do it here. Did I call it get var type? Is that what I called it? Get type tag. I'm gonna rename this to get var type and just have it return a string. I believe that would be more convenient. So if node were found, and this is a variable declaration node, I'm gonna return node dot type tag dot value, but otherwise return null. So this could potentially be null. Var name should be a string, and this guy should be an AST node. Okay. So over here, what we're going to do is call this guy get the var type of this var, given the function node. And here we could say the same thing as here, more or less. So there's a var display value, but if the value is string, let's put double quotes around it. But if the type, I'll call this var type to be more clear, less ambiguous. Var type is just, we already returned it. So if the var type is dict, we're doing that. If the var type is array, we're doing that. Same as over here. Oh, and I want to put the var value display here. See if that works. No. Did not work. Why? Can print out the var type. It would be nice if I had the deep zoom debugger to debug my deep zoom debugger, don't you think? Oops. Why am I clicking on the add block? Okay, I'm getting all nulls here. var type for dict and var type for array, and that's not working. This get var type is not working properly. Why? This needs a dot value. That is what it is. Okay. Okay, so all of it works now. We have the display of the arrays and the dictionaries. Cool. Now, let's like remove some of this code duplication first. But then after that, I think we're ready to do, well, I don't know if we're totally ready, but yeah, let's do a little bit of code extracts and helper function for this little chunk here. And then we'll figure it out, okay? Let's call this get var value display based on the type tag. This is how I usually like to do code extractions, is I copy the chunk of code, drop it in a new function, and then figure out what parameters need to be there. So we're gonna need a var value, of which that's an any. I'm gonna return the var value display. Display is going to be, for now, it's a string, but it'll soon change. We need a var type. It's either a string or a null. And then this next entry is a history entry. I'll just call it entry for short, but that needs to be passed in. And yeah, okay, so this function now can be used in both cases. And I'll say var value display equals the result of that, and the things it needs are the var value, the var type, and the next entry. And I can delete this chunk. Beautiful. I'm gonna get rid of this line and do the same thing here, except that I need to extract this variable as the var type. And then I believe I can do the exact same thing. Yeah, that works. Yes, so that all works. I have at least some display of dictionaries and arrays. It's not the way that I want it. Now let me think. I might just call it a day, actually. This session has gone on. So, yeah, I think I'm getting slightly hungry. So yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I'll leave it to next step to do, like, actually render it as boxes and tables, etc. For doing those things, I may need to add more functionality to my Fitbox layout framework. This one, that might actually be more involved. Okay, and I'm gonna write some to-dos for myself. So I'm basically in the middle of this. Well, I kind of have done this. Like, arrays and dictionaries are displaying on the screen. So perhaps I can even call this done. But the next step is to work on this. Yeah. And this is what I want. So in order to do that, I'm going to need to maybe like add feature to fit raw box outlines. And then you know, maybe like allow nested arrays and dictionaries to be zoomable. That's another big piece of this. And I guess other things, although I'm gonna deprioritize it now, is add a type checker to PlayLang, which enforces assignment to only allow matching type values, and also enforces that assignments to a variable must come after its declaration, and also enforces that there may only be one declaration. So some things like that are things that I have kind of skipped over this time, but I should do sometime in the future. Okay, I'm gonna stop this stream now, so thank you for watching.